So I want to welcome you today to our latest in the Fortify Cybersecurity Education Series. My name is Al Ogata, and I'm the president and CEO of CyberHawaii. CyberHawaii is a nonprofit information sharing and workforce development organization that focuses on improving cyber resiliency in Hawaii's small and mid-sized businesses, as well as within the community as a whole. We're supported by the state of Hawaii, the University of Hawaii, private sector businesses, and through partnerships with numerous agencies in Hawaii. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2024 Fortify Cybersecurity Educational Series. This series is brought to you through a partnership between CyberHawaii and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, and is supported through a grant from the Hawaii Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. In today's webinar, we'll be discussing mentorships. Cybersecurity is a field that builds upon a professional's expertise in people, process, and/or systems. This is because cyber threats target people's behaviors, processes that are followed by a business, or features and functions of information systems and technology. Cybersecurity professionals must understand their business from at least one of these perspectives before they can successfully apply security principles in an effective manner. Mentoring of existing employees or internships for potential employees are key success factors for people pursuing a career in cybersecurity. Success in cybersecurity does not require candidates to be programming superstars or to be the top cloud engineer in the company. It does not necessarily even require a technical degree if a candidate is interested in the behavioral analysis side of cybersecurity. What it does require is critical thinking skills, the ability to spend long hours in front of a computer, and the ability to think like someone who doesn't like to follow rules while adhering to strict protocols themselves. Questions should be entered into the chat window and will be read at pauses in the presentation. This presentation is also being recorded, and the recording will be available on the CyberHawaii website in a few days. In addition, the presenters have agreed that you can contact them after today's presentation should you have any questions or need their assistance. Their email addresses will appear during the presentation. During this presentation, you're requested to remain on mute unless asking questions during designated Q&A sessions. Your presenters today are Bruce Morante and Peter Dewar. Bruce is the Cybersecurity State Coordinator for Region 9. He joined the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency in January of this year. Bruce is part of CISA's Region 9 and serves as the Cybersecurity State Coordinator to the state of Hawaii. Prior to joining CISA, Bruce was with Matson Navigation Company, serving with their Network and Information Security Group. Bruce has been in Hawaii for the past 40 years, working for the federal government, both as a contractor and a civilian employee. Bruce has also worked as an adjunct professor with the University of Hawaii system and other private colleges on Oahu. Peter Dewar is the Senior Vice President of Digital Strategy at Servco Pacific, Inc. He is responsible for Servco's omni-channel initiatives, as well as its product management, data visualization, and analytics, CRM strategy, technology, and application development functions. Prior to joining Servco, Peter spent most of his career in retail, supporting organizations' enterprise digital and technology efforts, working from a developer up to a CTO. Peter worked at Accenture LLC for over 9 years, implementing technology architecture and integration solutions throughout the various industries, from startups to Fortune 500 companies across the globe. And with that introduction, I'll turn the mic over to Bruce to start us off. Bruce, you want to go ahead and start sharing your screen?
Thank you, Al. Yes, I will. Okay, before I get started, can everybody see my screen okay? Just a quick thumbs up.
Yes.
Thank you, Al. I wanted to take the opportunity, Al, to thank you for allowing me to present today. This is the third in the series, as you mentioned. And before we get started, if you're new to this series, I just want to give you a little overview of CISA, the agency, and what we do here in Region 9. For my presentation today, I will be going over a couple of things, a couple of topics relating to mentorship, defining the term, a little kind of internship versus mentorship explanation. Then, of course, how CISA can help you with internships and also their mentorship program, which ironically they sent out a blurb today. We'll take a look at. They're starting their new internship program, or I'm sorry, a mentorship program within CISA. So we'll take a look at how CISA views mentorships within the agency. And then lastly, before we finish, I'll take a look at another federal internship program I found outside of CISA with the National Security Agency. So again, if you're new to the series, just a real quick blurb of CISA and our mission. As Al mentioned, I am in Region 9, which also includes California, Nevada, Arizona, Guam, American Samoa, and CNMI. Our mission is to actually work and build partnerships with state, local, tribal, and territorial entities and provide guidance in an advisory capacity for their critical infrastructure. Okay, so part of that critical infrastructure could be IT, could be wastewater, communications sections. But we also help to, again, in an advisory capacity, to identify and verify suspicious activity, cyber activity, understand incidents and vulnerabilities, all while building and maintaining partnerships with our entities. If you have any questions, as Al mentioned, my email address will be available at the end of the presentation. I'd be willing to discuss what CISA services and what services they could provide to help you. Okay. So today's discussion on mentorship, a quick definition. One of the things that I've found over the years or throughout my career is that mentorships often don't necessarily take on any specific role other than you're getting something from someone who has been at, let's say, an entity longer than you have. So you're gaining their experience. The old adage of taking you under my wing to help you out is something that I was thinking about while preparing for this presentation today. I often find that mentorships are reciprocal, right? So even though the definition may talk specifically about, someone with more experience helping someone with less experience, it tends to lend towards the mentor taking something away from the experience also. I know, again, in my career, on a more personal note, that as I've mentored other individuals, I've also taken something away from those individuals. They've actually taught me things. There are different types of mentorships. Again, typically what you're going to get from a mentorship as far as benefits are concerned would be advantages into your own personal training or personal growth in the organization that you're currently with. Right? So mentorships are more about being guided through a process or through taking advantages of things within the organization. So typically you find mentorships either when you've actually joined an organization or even a business to business relationship that I'm sure we're going to hear about later as far as mentoring. As I mentioned earlier, CISA actually released a new mentoring program. Not that they didn't have one before, but one of the things that a blurb that I took from that is CISA's approach to mentoring and what they feel mentoring will do to the organization as a whole, to what often people call now the organizational culture. But there's also that understanding that a mentor and a mentee may help to create some meaningful relationship between themselves. One of the things that, again, drawing on my personal experiences with mentors, is that the mentor, in being a mentor, I actually helped and I could guide someone. And then even though our mentor-mentee relationship may end and that person may move on to another aspect or another area of the company, I find that you end up with this lasting bond with the people you mentor. I may see people years later and catch up, right? And you know, I know that I have kept in touch with some of my mentors over the years, whatever facets they brought. So one of the other concepts that we want to look at in this series is the idea of an internship versus a mentorship. Okay, without defining an internship, usually what you're looking at and the relationship that you get from an internship is more that that on-the-job training, so to speak. Typically, again, in my personal life, I found that internships helped me out when I was in school, when I was going to college initially, and then when I went back to college for more education and my master's degree, my internships helped me to understand other parts of the industry that I wanted to go into. So like cybersecurity. Typically internships can be paid or unpaid. And the benefit there from an internship is that you're getting a solid foundation from a career that you may want to go into, or you're getting to, as I say, pull back the curtain and look at what those people in the field that you could be studying or in the field that you want to go into are actually doing. Other benefits from an internship would be that you're networking with other people. Okay? You're getting to that broader world of what real life work will be like after your education is concluded. Okay? And finding out, you know, what things in the industry, in the field that you are pursuing, have to offer you. And of course, like a mentorship, you also build those relationships when you do an internship. So typically, as we want to compare and contrast the two, mentorships really are found when you have already joined the organization or when you're partnering, in this example, in the bullet point, a business-to-business relationship where people in the industry that you are currently working in, right, want to help you to excel or impart their knowledge onto you, or with you, I should say. So CISA does have what's called a cyber internship, IT, cyber and IT internship program. They actually have two things you can do. One, you can send an email, which is on the screen, about more of the and ask more questions. They also have an actual brochure you can download from the link that's in the slides that I'll make available at the end of the presentation. And one of the things that they offer students during their internships is the actual ability to do the work that CISA is doing every day, right? So things like working with databases, developing software, doing forensics. So all of these are available within the actual cyber internship program. And then finally, again, I wanted to give an opportunity to talk about other agencies within the federal space. So I found an internship program outside of CISA with the National Security Agency. And again, I posted the link in the slide. And probably the most interesting to me was the very last bullet point. There was an internship available here in Hawaii through the Centers of Academic Excellence and the National Security Agency. The information I found or gleaned from the National Security Agency's website along the same lines. They offer internships to current students or graduates, but they do have what they mention a summer program, which is a little bit different. where it only lasts for a specific amount of time. And that program is more geared towards going into the agency, learning more about the NSA and what they do in the cyber realm. Okay. Are there any questions?
If anyone has any questions, you can put them into the chat box, chat window, or I guess since we're pausing, you could take yourself off mute if you have a question and just shout it out. Okay. In light of that, let's see. Bruce, I know you talked about the opportunity that the NSA has. Have you seen any movement within federal agencies to say work across agency boundaries to say provide mentorship, either to each other or out into say the student population as a way to kind of prepare people for the next step in either their job, their career evolution, or in their schooling?
Both of the internships, I didn't spend a lot of time with the NSA one, the one I have up on the screen now, but within the CISA one, there are opportunities for employment with CISA following the internship. So I imagine the federal internship with the NSA works the same way. As far as cross-agency internships, I did not find anything about that out.
Okay, all right. And are the internships that you've seen offered by the government primarily targeting students, or could they be professionals who are working today and are willing to say either they want to change careers or they want to basically move into something else possibly, but then they may not totally, I guess, qualify for an existing position. So it's an opportunity to try something out.
I believe, and again, the researching with the NSA was all about students at various levels. I will mention that CISA's program also included high school students. So maybe not particularly ready for a career yet, but an introduction into the federal space and to what CISA does as an organization.
Okay, very good.
And I know that, just as a side note, because I've also worked with the National Weather Service and with NOAA, that they actually also have federal internship programs. Maybe not necessarily cyber oriented, but they also have programs that they post every summer on their website.
Very good. Okay, with that then, we're gonna, I think, switch over to the private sector and have Peter give us some information on what Servco is doing from a mentorship standpoint or mentoring, as well as internships. So Peter, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Al. And thanks again, Bruce, for that great presentation. And aloha, everyone. For those who don't know, great to meet you and see some familiar faces on as well. So great to see you again. I'm just going to pop up my presentation here. I'm going to kind of jump around between a few different resources as I go through this. So there may be a little bit of toggling in and out. I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview of Servco for those who aren't familiar with us before we jump into really similar to what Bruce had brought up, two programs that we offer, an internship program and a mentorship program, and then hopefully have plenty of time for questions and discussion. So just a quick overview of Servco. We started as a two-car service garage in Wailua in 1919, started by Peter Fukunaga, and still very much a family-run organization. And as you'll see now spans across automotive, which we now call mobility, between Hawaii and Australia, as well as a big impression in the music industry, amongst others. Currently, the brand that we shepherd as a distributor here in Hawaii and a retailer And as a retailer in Australia, our kind of the core automotive brand you can see here with the dates in which Servco became a partner with those manufacturers, as well as Fender goes back to the early days of Easy Music. For those who know Easy Music stores here in Oahu, and continually progressive ownership of Fender as majority owner just before COVID. And likewise, we have one of the largest Harley dealerships in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia. And just a little bit aside, I'm going to focus on the automotive side because that's the one probably most pertains to our internship and mentorship program. Across the US, we are in the top 15 automotive groups, the #1 retailer for Toyota in Australia, and continuing to see sizable revenue growth in Australia, as well as maintaining that market share in Hawaii. And pretty sizable operation when I think of the new vehicles we're bringing, both as a distributor and a retailer, as well as a relatively large used car operation. The size of our team is roughly split between Australia and Hawaii, a little bigger in Australia, but 2275. And as you can see, we passed a century in business and continuing to kind of look to the next generation of Servco talent to bring in, and that was a big reason why we launched the internship and mentorship program. And we just made 20 years consecutive best places to work in Hawaii. So we're definitely really grateful for that honor. And just a little bit of our operations. This is a view of our actual training facility here in Mapunapuna, where we work closely with all of our technicians and train them to Toyota standards, as well as our requirement as a distributor to make sure the vehicles on the road are safe, they're warranted, and we're able to service them for both our retailers or independent dealers, and really anyone who comes into our market with a Toyota vehicle, Subaru, Lexus. Just a bit of the family of businesses. Servco Hawaii, again, is broken up between the distributorship and retailer. I'll give you a pictorial of how that looks across the state. Australia, I'll have another pictorial just of what that market looks like from a retail perspective. You might be familiar with our car share service here in Oahu, Hui, which is just shy of 200 cars, with a partnership with Toyota to develop the technology, which we also see as one of the benefits of being a distributor here in Hawaii. We have kind of like, we could be a good test bed for a lot of the Toyota innovations, and we have done that over the years, notably the car share as well as hydrogen. And then the other sides of the business is our venture capital. So a lot of investment in mobility or funds to help us understand what's coming with regard to mobility throughout the state, but also in Australia. And like I mentioned before, the Fender relationship. Just a little more of a double click into Hawaii. When we think of our distribution business, we bring in the vehicles from a mix of Japan as well as mainland. We have a big parts distribution center that also satisfies our own retailers, independent repair shops, and independent dealers. And then as those vehicles come in, we do a lot of configuration to make them kind of market specific. And so that those vehicles are situated across 20 plus locations on Oahu, with carriers servicing delivery of those vehicles between all the locations here, as well as using Young Brothers and others to take them to inter-islands. And then I mentioned before about warranty and that critical role as distributor to make sure, as things naturally come up with new vehicle launches and recalls, we're working to continually train our staff, our independent dealers, and kind of the Toyota method to make sure we're servicing vehicles as best we can. And just this is a good view of just how we're set up from retail footprint, both Servco owned and operated, as well as independent, which are in the kind of the mustard yellow across Maui and Big Island. And you can kind of see where we're situated across Kauai, Oahu, and Maui as well. And this is a view of Australia, which we started to make a presence in Australia in 2007, and that's progressively grown, through 2022. Pretty much as you would imagine, situated with where most of the population bases are throughout the country. And with a large focus on Toyota, although we do have other brands that we support, 7 brands in total. And just wanted to focus on our core values for a second, because it really tees up, I think, a lot of what goes into our mentorship program and internship program. I think roughly about 15 years ago, might be off a few years, the team went through kind of, as new leadership came into Servco in this current generation, really focusing in on what are our core values for not only today, but into tomorrow. And these are listed actually in order of, I guess, priority. Although we do hold ourselves accountable, all our team, and it's a big part of how we look for talent too, in terms of future generation, to fit alongside these core values of respect, service, teamwork, and innovation. As I mentioned, we do focus a lot on our people. We did hit that milestone for best places to work, and we use a lot of tooling internally, and this is also, as I go through some of the resources, you'll see how it extends to our internship and mentorship program. We recently made a big investment in Workday as our kind of people platform, both for engagement, for performance management, for pretty much we're training. We're rolling out a learning management system within it, and then also it's kind of the basis for how we structure, recruiting, onboarding, the program itself for internship and mentorship. And yeah, it's been a good way to have a consistent way to help continue to drive engagement with our teams, as well as use kind of modern tooling and to help manage the program as it's scaled. And just in the community, we have a dedicated internal team called Team Serve, which it really serves as an employee-led team to help identify areas every year where we can give back to the community. Our internship program actually, as I'll show you, it's a big part of their curriculum is to be active in Team Serve as part of an employee-led kind of community organization on behalf of the company. And then beyond the internship and mentorship program, Servco has been very active in trying to help grow the next generation of talent within Hawaii. So we have an internal scholarship program that started in the 80s, which serves to provide opportunities for Servco team members, children, and family members, as well as support many nonprofits throughout the community in terms of helping identify and support the next generation of community leaders or private public sector leaders. And then we also have a scholarship program that goes all the way back to the 1950. And it's great to see this, even we have like a good alumni curriculum too, with people who come through the program, to see where they've become mid-career or if they've went to the mainland or come back home. So it's just been an exciting program that we continue to invest in on an annual basis. So now we're going to pivot over to our internship program. So the current iteration of it started in 2019. We started with a cohort of 8 interns. We really, like as Bruce mentioned too, and we'll talk a bit about the differences between this and our mentorship program. We really saw it as a way to, we talk about stop the brain drain or give an opportunity for people to come back and start their career here if they're in college. So we kind of rooted it with initially college candidates. We've since gone through into high school candidates who have roots here, who want to come back and as Bruce mentioned, get experience, real world experience in a career path that they're actually studying for, interested in. And it's been great too, because the whole idea was to also tap into talent that's interested in the skills we're interested in building within Servco. And I gave an example here, whether it's cyber, data science, application development, user experience, across marketing, and it's since extended to pretty much all areas of the operations, like I mentioned before, whether it's distribution or retail. It's very popular. I think this year we got close to 4,000 applicants. The program scaled up to about 33 interns last summer, and we've since kind of brought it back to about 25. We've actually had international candidates too. We're working to bring Australia into it as well. We've had at least one candidate in the cohort, yes, last year from Australia. And like I said, it's really cross-functional at this point. And that's purposeful too, because we do a lot to kind of have the cohort work together, as well as in the day-to-day and with their teams that work together. For example, we do like an annual hackathon in the summer where a cohort of the interns who are from different parts of the organization may not work together on a daily basis, come together for 2-day kind of project enabled purpose to solve a problem that might be relevant to our business or mobility or the community as a whole, and present to executives and are judged accordingly. And then at the end of the culmination of that program, there is kind of a capstone project presentation where they also present back to the officers of the company and their managers on the work that they did through the summer. Throughout, there's also a lot of opportunities to talk story with executives, get exposure, kind of start to build a little bit of a mentor-like relationship outside of their line managers through the internship. And we've seen that's been really successful too, because some of these relationships, like Bruce mentioned too, even though this isn't the former mentorship program, which I'll talk about in a second, have served to keep those relationships sticky beyond the program's end. And it's been a great hiring avenue for us too. Probably maybe I'll toggle to this if it launches. Let me just show you one initial resource. I think these are public too. If not, I can also, yes, this is public. So you can see this on our website. Let me just, share this one resource with you all. Okay, I'm just going to share this. Great. So this public resource, it gives you a good overview of the program. It's a nice kind of video. This is one of the team serve days that the team did, which is kind of baked into the program. And these are just some testimonials from like Julie Taylor, Aiden, Katerina, Carly. They're all members of my team. I think Kelly's on marketing, but just kind of how they came through the program, how it led to a full-time opportunity and the type of role that they're in now within CertCo. So it's been really successful in that regard. I think this represents 6. I think we've got over a dozen full-time hires that have come through it in some capacity. And we're excited. We're about to kick off this year the program as well. The next slide I show you, I'll go back to my presentation. Just gives you kind of a little overview of what the calendar looks like, and I'm happy to offline go through it with any of you if you're interested in how to set this up, or even if you want to just give feedback on how we set it up and just share ideas. I'd love to do that. Great, here we go. Bear with me. This gives you kind of an overview of this is actually this year's calendar. It's probably might change a little bit, but I did, like I said, it's structured around that summer, although we have had many instances where interns we'd start them early. Just as it's hard to get really productive in 8 weeks. So like some of the data science or data developers, we get them access to our technical stack and give them basics training so that they hit the ground running. And we do emphasize putting them like to work. They're definitely just extensions, really are extensions of our internal team through the duration of the internship. And you can kind of see in this June period, just as an example, the community service days, which really emphasize, as well as trying to find ways to bring them together as a cohort. The talk stories give an opportunity to meet with executives and start building, those relationships outside of, the day-to-day teams they're working with. Things we try to do with some of the groups we support, like CTL, for those who are familiar with it, and try and kind of do more of this like cross, mingling of the different other community or private sector groups, or like one thing we're trying to do this year too is figure out how we can get some of the other intern groups from maybe ASB or some other areas to work, and get together on a, even if it's a Pauhana, but or do some kind of work project together. You can kind of see here too, we try to get other departments to be represented so people learn different parts of the business, even though they may not be dedicated to that part. I mentioned that hackathon, which is a big part of the program and really always is full of excitement. But you kind of get a sense through here. You can, if you know, our executives are pretty much very well represented and committed to the program as well through that period of time. And there's that, the end of the program is that final presentation I mentioned. But yeah, these are some of the highlights like on the bullets, and yeah, it's been really successful. Like I said, not just for the full-time employees that we've been able to hire. I do know of several instances of people who come back and work in positions like a cybersecurity position in another private sector company, even though we didn't have a full-time position to offer. Next, we'll talk about our mentorship program. So this also launched around the same time. This runs roughly twice a year. We're in our 5th cohort. We just received about 16 applicants and are about to launch it. And then really the goal here is to help foster and grow the future leaders within Servco. And it's it's a lot, very much in line with kind of how Bruce mentioned it too. We try to really be clear that the mentor there is someone hopefully you can look up to within the organization. They may have some similarities with you in some ways. We actually purposely match mentors and mentees using for those who are familiar with like some of these personality matching kind of frameworks. We use DISC, and we kind of use that to try and find a balance between the mentor and mentee at the beginning, so both fill out their profiles and work closely with HR to find a good match, as well as if there's any specific interest a mentee may have in someone who, for example, it could be someone who developed a really successful career as a woman in technology, and someone is early in their career and wants to get guidance from, so we try to look for those natural connections when we do the pairing. And then one of the things we did from the outset too was just try to be very transparent with the program. So I have some hot links here. I'll pull up some of the communication that we rolled out. And like I said, I mentioned we use kind of this standard platform for people, Workday, to facilitate a lot of this. And then some things we tried to just use to help coach the mentors or give them, the mentees and mentors, a little bit of kickstart. So this concept of an experience map, which I'll go through in a second. And then what similar to the internship program, we kind of wrapped up a lot of the content from the prior cohorts to, whether it's a hindsight video, or what did it mean to the mentee or the mentor, and what did they get out of it. So it's kind of builds some internal marketing around the benefit of the program. So when the new cohorts, open up, we're going to get a healthy pool of applicants. And we do try to, like, if someone's been in the cohort, we ask that they wait another 12 months to apply again, just to give more people an opportunity. But I do know though, for multiple examples where once the 6 months have gone up, the mentors and mentees have continued on, their relationship and outside of the program, which is great, like as Bruce mentioned. And it's an open application process. We have an internal called the Servco app. It's a great way to just communicate out a lot of the things we do in this regard, those internships and community service. And then we do kind of like almost like a wrap up, like a graduation from the program, and a little bit of a next steps to tee up things so that they can continue on should they want to with their mentor. So I'm going to just toggle a few things that I've highlighted here. Let me just escape out of here. Oops, excuse me. All right, so first I'm just going to reference some of these resources that I shared. First would be this is kind of like the, an example of, you join the program. We have this kind of guide for our mentees, again, generated out of Workday. Just, what we expect the role, like I said, the just trusted advisor. It's not too prescriptive for the mentor, because we expect them to be kind of skill leaders. They manage teams, they develop people, and we know that they're going to work out the best way to meet with their mentee on an iterative basis. And then we kind of have this is kind of just what we expect from the mentee through it. We really want the mentee to feel, that they can be open, honest, and transparent. Just a little bit of just tips and tricks, how to maximize the conversations, make sure we're hitting on the goals of the mentee, and just some kind of little things to kind of get the ball rolling. The disc profile really works well. It's a great way to just find alignment on your traits and how you make compare and contrast, and likewise, as with some of these frameworks, how you interact if you come from different poles of the disc, so to speak, or different corners. And then just a little bit of, we find this very helpful, just some kind of basic, really a lot of this kind of ice breaking, setting up the program to be focused on the good outcomes we want to get out of it, how best to share. And it's kind of roughly broken up. You can kind of see it's like the kickoff, and then the months 2 to 6 are like I mentioned before. It's really we've given more latitude to the mentors and mentees to work through that without too much structure. The experience map is a great little tool to get to know each other, and it's something we advise to do at the beginning of the program, to kick it off and really help understand how, as a mentor, and for the mentee too, if they haven't gone through this exercise, it's good to just understand where their goals and targets are, where how they've evolved throughout their career. And I'm sure there's many other examples similar to this, but this is just one that we started with. And then as the program progresses, and there's this, at the end of the 6 months, kind of a wrap up again. Just again to understand, did you get what you wanted out of it? And so we do have our survey that goes out too, along with that, so we can, both for the mentor and the mentee, so we can understand how to continue to improve. If you continue staying as a mentor, other things you can work on to do a better job, or things working great, and just keep continue doing what you're doing. And then yes, as we mentioned, the staying in touch, we do want to foster that, but we understand that it's something we leave more or less up to the mentor and mentee to work out. The other only thing I think, I'll try to launch some of this mentor content. Let me just do that. I thought that's a good way. That's kind of how we get excitement around the program for the next cohort, or also and reflect on how the last one went. Let me stop. I'm going to share that real quick. Share. So this is our, like I said, it's a staff-based app essentially. So this is our, kind of internal company kind of comms platform. But here you can kind of see, here's like a little vignette of Charles was one of the prior mentors and mentee. Kind of just the little summary video. I don't know if it'll launch, but I'm trying to launch it. May not have video, but
I don't think we're getting any sound through Peter.
not getting any sound. Yeah.
Yeah, ready.
Yeah, I know sometimes it doesn't connect through Zoom, but anyway, it's kind of like she's giving a firsthand account of the program, what you got out of it. So it's very much in line with that graduation and retrospective. We're trying to create this content to help foster engagement for the next cohort. I think it covers everything at a high level. Any questions? Stop sharing.
So, yeah, just, we'll open it up for questions. I don't think I'm seeing anything in the chat right now. Does anyone have any questions for Peter on Servco's programs, either from a mentorship perspective or an internship perspective? So one of the things I wanted to do to kind of, pull the presentations together is really make the point that if you sat in on our past sessions, whether it's on password management or MFA or leadership, what you would have noticed for those webinars versus today's is that there was some very specific advice given by the participants, whether it was CISA or from the business perspective. Part of the lesson for today is that the subject of mentoring other people or having internships is not unique to cybersecurity. It's the kind of program that really is part of an organization's culture, as Peter said. And it is one of those programs that crosses multiple disciplines. So, part of the purpose of today's presentation was to really point out that when it comes to passing on knowledge through mentorships, or when it comes to trying to find the right candidate to come into your company as an intern, the programs generally will be uniform across the whole organization and not unique to IT, not unique to security. And from that perspective, cybersecurity professionals benefit from a broad program that really is not unique to the discipline of security. So that was part of the purpose of today's discussion or presentations, was to really let you know that as you look at your own organizations and try and think about what it takes to support either new employees or help existing employees to be better, you're likely looking at programs that cross all departments in your organization and have to be something that you focus on as a company, not just as, say, a security group. So with that, what I wanted to do was, we have about 10 minutes left. What I wanted to do was to see if anyone in the audience had their own experience with either mentoring other people or being a mentor, being a mentee, and what you took away from that experience. Again, a lot of the growth in the cyber field comes from people with experience passing on their knowledge to people who may have a good grasp of technical issues, may have a good basic grasp of human nature, but really benefit from folks who've done this kind of work for years. And I think it's the kind of program that is likely unique to the organization itself, who's trying to find someone that fits in with their team. So I'll just open it up. Does anyone in the audience have any experience either mentoring other folks or being a mentee and would want to, share their experience? Yeah, I know this is a little unusual for our webinars. We normally just present information, but again, I think this particular topic lends itself to more of a discussion and more really for people to come forward with different ideas about how they may handle it themselves for their own company. And I guess the same question pertains to internships. Internships can be a little more formal because you're basically bringing someone on board, teaching them about your policies, procedures, and then working with them on a specific function or topic. So again, for members of the audience, have any of your organizations also sponsored internships? And if so, did they resemble things like Peter was talking about, related to how Servco does things? And if so, was there a template that you folks followed to do that?
Hey Al, it's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, I thought I would just chime in. So, I've experienced informal mentorship and formal mentorship. Uh, Formal mentorship where I was the person being mentored. Again, very structured, similar to what the I think Peter was sharing with us. Um, but I think for me, I think the informal piece was really the long lasting stay. My informal experience has been such that through the fires of whatever's going on in the organization at the time, um, you find people and their characteristics and how they take on pressure was really sort of how I was fortunate enough for our CIO at the time to say, Sarah, I think you know more than you're letting on. So I uh, I was on the business side, found myself entrenched in the IT side, and he had opened up an entire world of exposure that I could see why all these IT guys were doing what they were doing. Now, 10 years later, I've come to appreciate much more the things that they were doing at the time. At the time, it was just really about getting through the fires that kept coming. But in my role today, where cybersecurity is the primary focus, I often want to call my old buddies back and say, I'm so sorry for not understanding you back then. But I absolutely think that there is a mutual relationship. Sometimes, and I'll just be honest, sometimes mentorship is really similar to do you click or don't? Because it really has to be a good fit. And I think Peter shared earlier that they try to do that with the DISC personality matches. And I found that in the formal experience that I've had, that's most likely an increase for success when you can do a little pre-scrub and see who's a better match.
Mhm.
But I would say that an organization that has a culture of investing in development and people skills, and one person who's totally not in the tech side of the world shows these characteristics that could perhaps be branched over to a gap that a company currently has, is certainly, I think it's a good thing. If a leader sees someone who shows these characteristics that could be better applied to a gap in an organization and is willing to develop and invest, my money's on that org. So I think I've said too much, but I just wanted to
No, that's great feedback. And Sarah, I appreciate your input. And I think it in some senses, points out that again, when we talk about cybersecurity, sometimes we have a picture in our mind of either the kind of person who should be working there or how things should be structured. But when you take the time to talk to either people on the team or even bring in other folks who may not have the same background, you have the potential to increase the effectiveness of the overall team. We talk about individuals benefiting from a mentoring program, but in a lot of senses, the entire organization benefits because you start to see that people who may on the surface not appear to understand certain things or think in a similar manner actually do get things that team members need to be aware of, and even the managers need to be aware of. So it is one of those topic areas where it in a sense breaks boundaries. And Sarah, I think you talked to that pretty eloquently about how it worked for out in your case. So I thank you for that. Does anyone else have anything you want to share in the couple minutes we have left?
If I could jump in, sorry, this is Bernice Kissinger. So just two quick things. One is I'm totally biased because I had an incredible career at Servco. So kind of a cheerleader for DISC. And also they used to use strength finders. So strength finders, yeah. And we actually used to post on our door like what our strengths were so that people would understand before they walked in to speak with you what your sort of focal areas were. It was very helpful in mentoring because the emphasis is that you build on strengths, not necessarily try to fill in quote unquote weaknesses. And it helped to create, sort of rock stars in different areas. And in mentoring in particular, or internships, I think that's important because those are pretty formative engagements, and it's a building of a muscle that's already pretty strong. But I just wanted to mention one quick thing, which is at the Chamber of Commerce, this effort of P3I, which is starting out more on the intelligence side, but certainly relevant to the cyber community, which is creating internships and pathways, career pathways for people who might be interested in not just defense, but actually federal opportunities. So that's kind of another element to kind of look at, is these pipelines, right, of internships and mentorships that could be built. Then that way you have cohorts that can interact with each other, the mentees, as well as having that mentor mentee relationship. Those were the two things I just wanted to mention. Thanks very much for letting me join today.
That's great. Yeah, thank you, Bernice. And you bring up a number of excellent points, and clearly, I'm sure Peter is happy about the shout out about the Servco program. But really, a lot of this is going on in different organizations, in different groups. There are different activities that are taking place. And as a result, we I think need to do a little bit more about sharing information like this, making it available to each other, just to be aware that there are opportunities that either we can take advantage of as professionals, or that people who may be looking to get into the field can take advantage of. So, I hope that, we here at CyberHawaii can continue to help to share information like that. And, I definitely appreciate the feedback that I heard today on the topic. So with that, I think we're at the top of the hour. I did want to put up one quick slide just to close us up or finish this up. Let me see if I can share that real quick. First off, I want to thank Bruce and Peter for sharing their insights, their information. As I mentioned, they're both open to talking further after the webinar, and I would encourage you to reach out to them. Again, this topic is the kind of topic that benefits from discussion. It is not something where you can just take a template and say, okay, this is how we're going to solve it. And it's not as specific as, say, like password management or MFA, or talking specific technologies. So CISA clearly has lots of resources they can bring to bear to talk about this and potentially help out. And Peter at Servco has been nice enough to say, he's willing to talk to anybody about taking the view of Servco's program as a template. It's something that maybe your organizations could use to build a structure within your own businesses to successfully mentor your staff in this area. So with that, just want to let you know our next session is going to be on access management and social engineering. That will be more in line with, I think, some of the threats that you see today, and some of the techniques that social engineers use to gain inappropriate access to information systems. So that'll be on May 7th of this year. And then you'll see registration information on our website. And then we'll also send out an email to let you guys know that the registration is available. If you want to talk to me about anything, my email address is right here. I'm very happy to talk to anyone about their thoughts on this topic, whether you're interested in starting a program or you're someone who might benefit from the program. Happy to talk about it and then possibly put you guys in contact with the right folks. So with that, I'm going to thank you for attending today. And basically, I'll wish you a good rest of the day until I see you again, hopefully at our next webinar. So thank you very much, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.